Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. We've been here all day and all night. Got me working day and night.
Oh my Lord! You didn't even say what your co-host.
I'm getting ready to do that.
He's tired.
Look,
He's tired.
I'm doing the intro, right? Got me working day and night with my co-host, the one, the only, the beautiful Yolanda M. Smith, the Branthopist. What's up?
Hey, darling, how are you? I think we're getting punchy by now, right? Is that what
Man,
that
I'm
means?
fine. I'm a workaholic. You know me.
Hey, I'm a beast too, so don't play.
Yeah.
You know, that hustle and grind is all right with me.
Yeah, I like the hustle
As
and
long
grind.
as I can get the lifestyle and get the see, I like it because here's the deal. I'd rather not trade my time for money, right? I'd rather trade my value for money, and then that way I get to do the things I like with the people I love. That's why I'm sitting here with you today.
Yeah, I like it. I like the
All right.
fingernails. I like the fingernails.
You know, I'm all about
That
the
shit is
brand.
dope, man.
All about the brand.
Yeah.
All about the brand.
Hey,
all right.
let's get right down to today's show. And today's show is special to me. You know why?
Why?
Because I love to see women making changes. I love to see women doing shit. I mean, it's a turn on for me.
I can only imagine.
It's a turn on for me.
But she's powerful. This ain't just any ordinary woman.
Yeah, this ain't any show. I would love to trade places for about 24 hours with this young lady.
Probably be some interesting things.
She's definitely living what they call the fabulous life.
Well, we're gonna ask her that.
We're gonna ask her.
Yeah, you ask her that because it might be a lot of hard work. We think it looks fabulous.
Just imagine what it would be like to be in the airplane with everybody that you can possibly imagine. Everybody.
High
profile figures. But more importantly, when that opportunity, how do you get that opportunity? How does that road open up? How does that door open up? And then more importantly, how do you stay in that door? And what do you take away from there?
Now that's powerful. That's powerful. Because first you got to get in. Then you got to figure out how you stay in.
How you stay in.
And then what do you do with that when you decide to exit? Because she's done some
when the door closes.
She closed the door, I bet. Watch this. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome to the show the one, the only, the beautiful Tasha Funes. Did I get it right, Tasha?
Did. Thank you. Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show. Let's get right down to it. Tell the viewers a little bit about Tasha.
Well, my name is Tasha Funes. I'm owner of Exclusive In-Flight, which is an aviation consulting company. What we do is anyone that's looking to join into aviation, whether you be a newbie, just interested in becoming a flight attendant, I offer training courses for that, as well as anyone that is looking to transition from commercial flying over into private aviation. I assist with that as well.
You mentioned aviation. I always wanted to know how to fly and help people on the airplane.
Lord Jesus, help
us. How did this open up for you?
So when I was a little girl, I always wanted to fly, and I kind of lined myself up after graduating from high school. I went to work for a commercial operation, one of the big companies, and it just kind of elevated from there. After having the knowledge and experience with commercial aviation, I kind of just worked myself up into corporate. There was like a window of opportunity that people just didn't speak to, especially they didn't speak to minorities about this hidden world. And it just kind of fell into my lap, and I took it and ran with it and opened up doors and the floodgates for other minorities to join over into this world.
Why do you think that it wasn't open, or why do you think it was a hidden secret?
I believe it was a hidden secret because the industry had its standards. They didn't have the African-American girls in these opportunities. What the clients were requesting and what the clients were almost demanding as well were women of Caucasian ethnicity. So it was a hidden opportunity and nobody knew about it.
That's interesting because you know what? Back in the day when they were called stewardess, right? You guys were called stewardess back in the day. But were you in the industry when you guys literally had standards? Like based on what you had to wear. You had to be a certain size. You couldn't be over that size. I mean, they wanted you guys to really look a certain way. Were you in that era at all, or had it passed by the time you got into the commercial flying?
Actually, Yolanda, I was a part of that era, which now tells my age, but yeah, I was
All
definitely a
right.
part of that era. I
Yeah.
remember when I first was in commercial aviation, they used to have us weigh in on a scale on a weekly basis to make sure that our weight was appropriate to height, to our height, and that we weren't, fluffy is what they used to call it. If they felt like we were a little bit on the heavier side, they would suggest that we start working out, going to a gym, and sometimes even offered memberships to gyms.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of interesting because I could see how that could be construed as discriminatory, but as one that flies a lot, is it bad for me to say I don't know if that's a super bad idea?
Ah.
I'm trying to
Well, why?
take that line. I mean, I get it, but there's got to be some the owls only, I don't know
Well,
what to say there.
things have definitely changed, as we know. So now it's not as stringent as it used to be, but I agree with you. It does need to be a little bit more of a standardization. The way that I look at it is more of a safety situation in the event of an emergency. I want to make sure that the flight attendant is able and capable to walk up and down freely throughout the aisles, to protect us.
Right, right. Because I'm an aisle girl. I like to sit on the aisle, and I've been bumped a couple times.
Why you like to sit on that
And
alpha?
I just do, you know what? I'm not even tall. I'm only 5'3", but you would swear up and down, girl, I was 5'10" because I want to stretch my legs out and just be comfortable. It's just my preference. And I don't want to be, I don't, if I want to get up, I want to get up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I like freedom. Freedom is the thing I do. I like freedom. I like multiple streams of income. I like other people's monies, other people. Okay, I digress. Okay, anyway.
Tasha,
Yes.
what are some? Welcome back.
Oh, I just came back, by the way, this today. I've
Yeah,
been gone
yeah.
for a while.
She's been gone for a while. She just flew back in specially for this episode. So,
Oh,
back to my question. What were some of the things that you had to deal with that impacted you? And then how were you changing the narrative moving forward with your own company?
so some of the situations that I personally had been exposed to when I transitioned over from commercial into private is
Mhm.
that a lot of the clients didn't want a minority woman on board. They would always do a request of a headshot and a body shot to kind of, see who they were going to have on board their aircraft. So there was times when there was a shortage of flight attendants and they didn't have no choice but to put me on board the aircraft. And when those situations arose, I went in there and I did above and beyond. I, made sure that I impressed my clients that way that they couldn't differentiate whether or not if I, was black or white. They just know that they had an exceptionally well service on board the aircraft. And then after kind of creating those avenues and making sure that, I was consistent in my process, the clients started to request me. Then when one client requests me, then another client will request me. So it just cultivated into where we are today.
What were the things that that's pissing me off right now?
Don't get pissed off. No, but I think it's kind of
Well,
interesting
don't get,
that they
No.
literally request you by looking. So this is really about how you look,
What let's go deeper
not the
than that.
because they wouldn't even know the level of service
Well,
at that point,
let's
right?
go a little bit deeper than that. I'm trying to put myself in her shoes and your shoes as a female.
Mhm.
Why do you think that they was more adamant to have a white woman, and were these more men, white men, black men, or what was the racial demographic that they felt that the only person that can do the job was a white woman, and why?
The demographic of the clients who are usually your vice presidents and the presidents of companies, which is a male-dominated industry. So you're talking about Caucasian men,
Mhm.
and they wanted to have someone that they necessarily thought was, or should I say that they thought was ideal.
I think it's eye candy, but you can't say that, but I can. I think in their opinion, it might have been what they thought was eye candy, but I don't want you saying that because we want you to
Right.
continue to thrive in your business. So say Yolanda said it. Disclaimer.
Was
Okay.
was
Alonda?
was it difficult for you to do that mentally, to even do what you had to do to get your foot in the door? I know that had to be mentally challenging to put on a different facade for a minute to even get your foot in the door.
Absolutely. It definitely toyed with my mental. I used to think like, why is it like this? Why is it not the same as it is on commercial jets where, you have a variety of nationalities, a variety of weight sizes, a variety of type of people, men and women. So just pushing through and understanding that there was a bigger goal at the end that I needed to obtain is kind of what led me through it and got me through it. I didn't have any mentors. I tell people all the time, there was no one that I could call because I had elevated my career so quickly. I didn't have anyone that kind of gave me the blueprint. So I had to create it for myself and figure out, okay, how am I going to maneuver with these problems? How am I going to navigate these adversities that I'm getting hit with day in and day out? There was times when clients would come on board the aircraft and they would see me and they were like, wait, I don't want her on board. And, with the help of my pilots sometimes advocating for me, they would be like, no, she's on board. If you have a problem with her, then we're not flying you. But you don't always get those
Nice.
pilots. You do have some pilots that are just kind of like, okay, the client, whatever the client wants is what the client gets.
And so you've been removed from a flight before?
I've been asked to not fly on board an aircraft because of the race, because of the color of my skin. I have.
Oh, yeah. So this is interesting. Okay, so as you think about this, I would imagine, and just because in full transparency, I come from the corporate world and I was in senior leadership. So I know sometimes just dealing with the personalities and the egos of certain individuals, it can be challenging. And so as you're servicing these individuals, I mean, were there times where you just felt like you were there to, I know you're there to service them, but you're really there for their safety. Let's be clear. You're there for the safety first, right? And
Mhm,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, were some of them difficult to really deal with and or demanding?
Absolutely. We're talking about powerhouse people, people with a whole lot of money that have never been told no.
Mm,
So, what I stood by is my values and how I felt about situations. So, anytime I came on board the aircraft, I set the tone and the energy to let them know I'm not the one to be toyed with. I'm there to do my job and do it professionally.
nice, nice.
Well,
So that cut out all the BS, basically.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
what's the difference between what's the relationship between the commercial versus the private with the people in your arena when you're dealing with um the commercial air stewardess, it's
Flight attendant,
flight attendant, what do I call it,
a
stewardess,
There
stewardess.
it is.
oh no, flight attendant,
You just went
Or
all the
flight
way,
attendants.
dude.
okay, flight attendant, excuse me,
I said way back then it was called that.
we're gonna talk after class.
To
But
get you
what's the difference for
to be his
you
age.
with the demeanor from going from commercial to the private with your co-workers?
Well, with commercial aviation, you're literally just going in, getting the job done, leaving. It's not as in depth as it is with private aviation. With commercial aviation, you usually only have like a layover for maybe like 2 days, sometimes three, I would think,
Mhm.
because they have scheduled flying, so they're constantly on a go. Whereas with private aviation, we sometimes will leave for a trip and we will be gone for 10 or 15 days.
Wow.
So you really, really get to know each other. It's almost like, you spend a large part of your time on the road with these gentlemen and women that are pilots, and they become family.
Got you. And so when you go on trips like that, I mean, do you feel like even with the people that if they're consistently asking or requesting you, do you start to build the relationship with them, some of the clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So once they've flown with us, we establish like a really good rapport, and then they will often reach out to the operations or the company and request to have us put back on board the aircraft. So if they have like another flight or even if they have their executives flying and they know the quality of service that they're receiving from me, they'll request me.
How does this affect your social life? You have to be ready at the drop of a hat. You're now
Mhm.
an entrepreneur. What kind of strain was this on your personal life?
Well, fortunately, it was kind of like a balance. My husband travels a lot and then I travel a lot. So it gives us a chance to miss each other. Sometimes he would often fly to wherever I was to meet me.
Mhm.
But you got to stay ready in this aviation industry. Keep a bag. I tell girls and guys, always keep a luggage packed in the car. You never know where you may be, where a client may call you and say, hey, can you work this trip? Can you come and do this trip? And you never want to tell them no when you have everything ready and resourceful.
What was one of we're not going to get deep into the major celebrities and stuff that's been on your flight. The people can Google that, but not to mention individuals, names or anything like
Except
that.
Barack. She said I can say Barack. I
Okay,
just love
right,
him.
the president.
Aren't they really like as cool as they appear, you know? I mean, they just seem like the most down to earth couple ever.
With a name, with a name like Barack, you can't help but to be cool.
It is definitely a pleasure having them on board. They are very, very personable people, just like we see on TV. And I can't say that enough about, a lot of the clients that I've flown, but I will tell you what you see on TV and is what you get. He's like just as chill, cool as collective. And Michelle, she's like so motherly and nurturing. So I absolutely love them.
Let me finish one more question with that. Then
Okay,
we'll
I'm
we'll,
sorry, I did
we'll
cut you
drop
off.
that. Yeah, no, but I'm glad you brought that up. What was that like when you got that call that you're gonna be on the plane with the president and his family?
It was intense, and I don't usually get starstruck by many people because I've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was very overwhelming. It was a blessing. At that moment, I felt like in my life and in my career, I had made it.
Did they share anything to you, seeing what you've accomplished? Did it give you any words of inspiration? I mean, I'm pretty sure if the president told me something, man, I would like tattoo it somewhere, be like, hey, he told me this. Yeah. Did they share anything with you that you remember to this day that you hold dear to you?
Absolutely, to continue doing everything that I'm doing, and I'm doing a great job.
Okay, so we're gonna let this go, but not just yet, because I read, girl, you don't have me doing my homework, right? Okay, so you were on a flight and everything was black. Can you just
Oh yeah.
describe that? Please describe that.
So the account that I was on had requested for their aircraft to be completely all black. So I said, I'm gonna take it to a whole nother level, right? So I had black toilet paper, I had black paper towels, I had black dishes, black cutlery, like everything was black, black toothpicks, I mean everything.
Oh my God.
And at this particular time, I had them on board, and Mr. Obama had said, man, all black jet, all black dishes, toilet paper, all black crib. He was like, so plain.
I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
Have there been moments where you dealt with the celebrities? Um, Let me put it the right way. Don't mention any names or anything like that, but how many times have you encountered celebrities or people with power that really don't understand who you are? Kind of like, you wish that you didn't take that particular flight. Like, how many times has it happened to you?
Oh, it's happened several times. Um, but just like with any job, right? You're going to get clients or people that you have to interact with at times that you may not necessarily want to, but you just navigate around those struggles and get the job completed. Now, there has been clients where situations have arose that have gotten out of control, and I personally have requested that I will not fly with. And the companies, usually will back you based on the condition and the severity of what the issue was.
What do you mean when you say out of control? Because you're dealing with a private jet. I mean, I can't see what would be considered out of control. This is your job.
Hey, it's open field. There's a lot of things that, some people will tolerate, and then certain things that I would not. And this particular client, just was not, he was very inappropriate on board the aircraft, is what I'll say.
Okay.
Wow. So
Because I'm thinking too, you're flying. Does everybody not sit down with their seatbelts on like and act like they got some sense? Not necessarily, huh?
No, again, it goes back to, like I said, when you have people with a whole lot of money, they feel that they own the jet or they control the jet. So they push the envelope sometimes.
I can only imagine. We can imagine. We can use our imagination for that. Let's talk a little bit about your business. Okay. When did you start it? What are you doing with it? Tell us a little bit about that and how it's going.
Yes, I started Exclusive In Flight in 2021. The main purpose for me starting it was because I was like, you know what? I want to be able to kind of like navigate this aviation world and have something that I can potentially align other candidates or women of color specifically in front of candidates for flight attendant positions. And there was no one out here that had anything like that. So, I took on the reins and elevated it to where it is today. Not only do I do placements for jobs, but I also, if an account owner gets a brand new jet and they need someone to come out and outfit the aircraft, I customize the aircraft for them. If they need in-flight training, if they need me to train the flight attendants, I'm also available for that. Or if they need me to create a SOP or a manuscript for their aircraft, I assist with that as well. So it's kind of like that one-stop shop. After I had all of the experience and knowledge that I gained from various different clients and companies that I worked for, I said it would be nice if they had like a one-shop process where they can go to. And that's what I did.
What are the qualifications that you need, and what kind of candidates would you what would make a primary candidate for you?
Well, if we're speaking in general aviation or,
Yeah,
on
to
commercial
do what
aviation,
to do what you do, to do what you do.
You mean
private
as far as the
aviation,
private,
Yeah, the private sector. Yeah.
private sector, there is a aviation course that you have to take in training that certifies you to become a certified flight attendant. They would need to have those courses. And then I train specifically all of my girls and guys to the standardization of what I like on board the aircraft.
Is it
So the
expensive? Is it expensive to enroll in the program?
initial investment can be a little expensive to get the certification course and then to have my training. It just varies in pricing. There's various different schools that offer the certification, but yeah, so that's basically what they would need in order to begin the process.
but you know what? You seem to me now. I just met you, but
Mhm.
I'm very pretty much intuitive. I can get it. You have a very calm demeanor about you. And I would imagine, just based on what you said and being exposed to so many different things, you cannot have somebody like me, girl. I'm a little explosive. So we get on that plane and
Excuse me?
because you're very collective. I'm watching, I'm paying attention, and you're very collective, you're calm. So are you looking at the personalities of the individuals too who you would hire and just know that there's a certain sort of phenotype, if you will? And this is not being discriminatory. This is saying, how do I set you up for success, right? Is there sort of a certain personality that tends to do better than others in
Yes.
this particular industry?
Absolutely. I do hone on girls and guys that are a little bit more, like you said, similar in style to me, that are very direct and can be direct when they're on board the aircraft. But then a lot of this can also be taught. So we didn't come out the womb and just was like this. We had to incur different challenges and adversities with these positions that we hold before we got to where we are today. So multiple people is always good as well.
You mentioned men.
She did.
You mentioned men.
Yeah.
How open and lucrative is this for the males that want to get into this?
Believe it or not, it's been a demand here recently. It wasn't like that back in the day, but now I think, a lot of executives and owners of their jets just, prefer to have a man on board instead of a woman.
Really?
So yeah, it's definitely in demand.
We live in different times, and I could say that I could see that, quite frankly, from the standpoint that perhaps, you know what, I don't want anything being said. They're holding high positions, and Lord knows it only takes one something to be
Mhm.
said. That, I mean, that's about brand reputation too, right? Because it doesn't even have to be true, but if somebody says it and it gets out and
Oh
people,
yeah, I got
you
you.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That can just sort of, I mean, just everything we do. We live in a very different world. So when you think about where we are today versus where we were, let's say 15 years ago, because it's even different from 15 years now. I mean, what are some of the things that you're really looking out for to say, I want these women and men to be successful, and bringing them into this arena where really you have so much control, but quite frankly,
All it takes is a phone and a viral misinterpretation, and all hell breaks loose.
Mhm.
How do you protect yourself from that?
Well, I mean, it's important, again, like I said, to have pretty reputable candidates that are, self-assured and good in their own skin. Um, as far as like a flight attendant perspective, setting the tone, setting the standards on, how your aircraft, how you want your aircraft to be ran is important so that you don't run into any conflicts with the owners or potential clients on board the aircraft. I think that comes with just like, I appreciate you saying that I come off as peaceful, but all my employees and all of my mentees, they say I'm stern. I rule with an iron fist. Because again, we have a lot more to lose, especially being people of color. So we have to go in with a different set of a train of thought.
And so how do you get let's talk about that. So if you're going to be stern, because this is what I'm hearing you say, listen, we're going by the book. There's no funny stuff. We're not, don't try it. We, don't even bring it this way. And when they are stubborn, or I can only imagine once alcohol enters the picture and they're having a good time and they're in a great mood, they want to just whatever. I'm not going to assume anything, but how do you then keep that in perspective and then still make them happy as well? Do you know what I mean? That's a fine line to toe, you know.
Mhm. Well, see that, and that's when there's like a pecking order on board the aircraft. So yeah, we're in the back of the cabin and we're facilitating and we're managing the aircraft, or the cabin, should I say? But the pilot, the main pilot on board the aircraft, he's the commander in chief. So if there's ever a position or ever any uncomfortableness that any of the flight attendants experience at that moment, if you can't gain control of the situation, we highly recommend that you bring in the pilot. And the pilots are usually, with trained for those type of situations, and they come in and they handle it for us.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So I want to get back to her business. Can we get back to her business?
I was going to ask her a question about her business.
Yeah, you go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
How many brothers are pilots? I met only one brother who was on the show, and I had no idea he was an airplane pilot. He told me the craziest story. He was sitting in, like normal people, and the captain got sick, and the stewardess, as I said, right, the flight attendants knew him and asked him to come fly the plane. But when he said we got up, everybody looked at him like he was getting ready to do something to the plane. And when he went up there, he actually flew the 747. So how many of us do you deal with every day to actually fly these private planes?
Well, what I will say is less than 1% of African Americans make up the aviation industry as a whole. And I'm speaking of pilots, flight attendants, maintenance, cleaners. It's really not a lot of us in this industry, which is why the narrative needs to be changed.
1%?
Mm-hmm.
Good grief.
Yeah, I was like shocked. He was like he flies 747s.
I wouldn't have thought 1% though. My goodness. Well, so what are you doing to change that then? Let's talk about that. Yeah, because we know you've got the consulting firm and the school and things of that nature. How is it working? Or are you really being able to pull them in, help place them? How's that going?
It's actually going very, very well. A lot of my mentees and my students have been very successful with placement. Again, I think it's all about putting those candidates or my clients or I'm sorry, my candidates in front of the clients and letting them just go out there and do the thing, being exceptional and excellent at their job and gaining contracts, gaining employment, gaining long-time employment. Some of the girls and guys that I've trained, they'll call me like on a weekly basis, like, thank you, Tasha. I wouldn't have had this opportunity had you not exposed me to this. Thank you, Tasha. Not only did that client book me for a 3-day trip, but they're booking me next month for a 20-day trip. So it just, just constantly exposing these people to these clients to different cultures and women of color and men of color. I think it's important.
What needs to be amplified on this topic? What do we need to do to amplify it more? Like, what are we missing?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think the requirements need to fall off. I think that there shouldn't be this requirement of what, they feel society wants on board the aircraft, because things have changed. We're, like you said, 15 years ago, things were much different. And here we are today, and we're still slightly dealing with adversities, but I think the requirements just need to completely come off and just put people on planes, whether it be men, women, girl, it doesn't matter, black, white. We just really need to change it.
How do you and your husband work together to make sure that you're successful in your career?
He helps a lot. He has a lot of experience. He's ex-military. So I depend on him to kind of help me navigate some tready waters at times. And he's very supportive. Whenever I'm at a crossroad and I'm just like, I don't know what to do, he's always there to kind of offer good guided advice.
Give me
Girl,
an, give
that's
me an,
why she got that
yeah.
iron fist. She's not playing. She got a backup over there. He said,
Yeah.
we're gonna run a tight ship up in here.
Wait a minute. Give me an idea when you was at a crossroad and he helped you out. I'm curious on this one now.
It could be something as simple as a client headbutting with me, refusing to maybe move forward with a client that or flight attendant that I put on board, and me having to go back to the drawing board and sell the client on my flight attendant. So, as humans, we often get discouraged, and I sometimes feel like, okay, I've done everything that I can, and my husband will present something to me. We'll even role play where he's like, okay, this is what you need to do. Let's do this, and go and present it to the client this way. So he's been very supportive in that aspect.
You know what? I'm just going to tell you how shocked I am because let me tell you about me. I
Mhm.
wouldn't care less as long as they could do their job. I mean, as if I'm a boss, I don't have time to worry about who's on there to just can you just keep me safe and can you get me a little cocktail and a little snack? You know what I mean? Why are they so particular about who's on the dang on plane if you're just there to do your job?
Because it's money. It's
But
money.
what's that got to
Well,
do with it?
I think it's that, but I also feel like at times they're, flying their friends and their family members on board the aircraft. So, with that being said, they potentially want to have a certain person on board.
I mean, it's one thing. Okay, let me just say this. It's one thing if I've worked with you, Tasha, and I like you, then I want to keep requesting you. But if I'm getting on an aircraft and I have not worked with anybody, how am I going to be saying who I want on the plane when you've not even had an experience with anyone?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what
I
I'm
agree.
talking about. I mean, that's interesting to me. So to me, that in and of itself says that there's something discriminatory about that, period, because you're here to do a job. But anyway, nonetheless, it's going to be good to see how you move through the industry. Are you still flying, by the way? You
I
still
am. I,
do?
I am still booked and busy.
Okay, so you fly and then you have the business.
I do.
So I
Correct.
imagine you've been all over the world.
Yes.
I'm jealous.
hmm
Yes.
Okay. She's been all over the
So
world.
what's
So
the age cutoff?
yeah,
Maybe I
yeah.
want to come fly. What's the age cutoff, girl?
There's really no age cutoff, believe it or not, especially in private aviation. You will find that some of these owners, they and clients, they've had their flight attendants for 30 plus years.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, that this is exciting. Yeah, this is my hats off to you, sis. Seriously, I think this is the more you can do to break people into the industry to create that awareness that this is something that is a option and is open to them is going to be huge because a lot of times what I understand is we don't even know what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
And we see it over there, but when it seems like it's not for us, sometimes our limiting beliefs keep us from even going after those opportunities. So hats off to you, and I know you're doing some things with women of domestic violence as well. Is that true?
Yes, that is correct.
So do you have a
I
Tasha's closet? Or was that your closet or somebody else's closet?
It was, it was actually my closet. So, one of the perks of working in aviation is that we're allowed to purchase attire for us to wear, and it doesn't have any like rule or rhyme or reason. You can just basically purchase whatever the client wants you to. You're on a budget or a stipend. Well, as women, our weight fluctuates, right? So there's times when I've like bought a wealth of clothes that I just, couldn't fit at the time or may have outgrown. And I said, you know what? I want to be able to recycle these because they still have tags on them and give it to people that may potentially need to use these. And I was able to connect with Beyond the Hurt, which was the which is the domestic violence corporation that I did the event with, and I was able to donate all of my clothes to that organization. So a lot of women came out and was able to basically go on this shopping experience, which was a totally free experience, but they were able to go through all of my clothes and acquire whatever it is that they wanted, what they needed.
That's amazing. You got a good lifestyle, girl. I mean, I'm assuming your lifestyle's pretty good.
Do
Are
you,
you living large, huh?
do you plan on leaving the show and going to work for Tasha?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Girl, I'm gonna come be an aviation. I'll be the branding expert. I'll get them together.
Tasha, I'm gonna ask you a question before we wrap up.
Absolutely.
you started this business where you located at, but what has been the response nation and worldwide with getting candidates to you? Because you're centrally located in you have a home base, but your services is for everybody. So what's been the response?
It's actually been very good because everything I do is virtual. So again, like I said, I'm constantly traveling with a lot of my different clients that I work for as well. So the only way that I was able to do this is not to have like a overhead or a space where I, conducting my courses. So everything is virtual. So if they're in Europe, if they're in Asia, it doesn't matter where they are, I can touch them, they can touch me, and we can get this program in place.
What is your end game here?
My end game is to, like I said, if I don't do nothing else, I just want to change the narrative. I really, really do. I think that when I was coming up and when I was going through some of the trials and tribulations that I went through that I shouldn't have, it affected me. And I just don't want anybody else to have to go through some of those, problems. So if nothing else, if we could just change the narrative and have more people of color in all realms of aviation, I would be happy.
How can the viewers
Amazing.
reach out to you and support your cause?
They can visit www.exclusiveinflight.com and they're able to book online for anything that they should need.
I think Yolanda's getting ready to hit that website.
I, I just think it's fascinating at the I remember, listen, I did apply one time for a flight attendant role. And I remember we went to the training, and guess what? I didn't get the job. I didn't get the call back because at the end she said, okay, I just need to know who remembered my name. Guess what? I didn't remember her name.
Lord.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Just something that simple. And I would just, the attention to detail obviously wasn't there, girl. I did not need to be a flight attendant. Anyway, I went on to
Yeah.
work in the pharmaceutical industry for years. Okay.
Another lucrative industry.
Yes, but that was funny. She did. She said it. She said, I need to know who remembered my name. And
Mhm.
and it was just like, "Ugh," you know.
Yeah, because being attention or having attention to detail is very
Mhm.
much important with our job. Being able to service our clients without them having to ask for anything, being able to give them the things that they need without them even having to mention it. That's the
Mhm.
reason why she tested you like she did.
Yeah, anticipating that need. That's powerful. I love it. Love it. Love it. Well, good luck to you. And you know what? Congratulations on the work that you're doing. It's amazing. And we're here rooting for you for sure, for sure. And
She's
hey,
got to, she's got to, she got to leave us with that beast mindset.
that's right.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
done done so much, man. And I like to also give a shout out to her PR, Desiree. Yeah, Desiree is truly one of the greatest PRs on the face of this earth right now, and I
Publicist,
appreciate
better
her
publicist.
putting us together. What keeps you going outside of your husband and what you're doing? You got a strong beast mindset. Leave the viewers with what keeps you going every day.
What keeps me going? Hey, I enjoy traveling. I enjoy doing my job. I enjoy getting calls from my clients that tell me, hey, I had your flight attendant on board and she was exceptional. I want to book her. So those things just keep me going and lets me know that I'm making a change. And that's what's important.
Tasha, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. Make sure if you're interested in learning how to be a flight
Private.
attendant, private,
Oh, she does commercial too, but private.
private
I like it.
attendant, even men, I might put my application in.
You're not doing nothing.
It's ageless. It's ageless.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the
The
Beast
Beast
Crayton
Crayton. Show, 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 show.